Goodnow, revolutionaries, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show. Today is Wednesday, January 14th, and we are your place for helpful crypto news, commentary, answers to your questions, and I'm very excited to say we like to take you behind the scenes here in the crypto industry, inside the wild and wonderful world of Web3, and we've got a wild and wonderful one for you today. Not only do we have the second part of our Jito tutorial, which is practical and tactical, but today at the start of the show, we are joined by my good friend and now yours. He is DevRel analyst, dataphile, and founder now of Polar GTM. Please welcome Dercio to the show. Dercio, my brother, here it comes.
Woo!
How are you?
Hello, everyone. Wherever you're tuning in, thank you, Evan, for the invite. Really glad to be here with Alex too. Yeah,
Man, me too.
Yeah, going into I just met Evan in Buenos Aires, and we had the best time working along together. And
Do you remember we got to be together? I pulled this up. We had this night together where everybody was toasting your birthday.
Oh, I did not know that pictures exist, but that's amazing.
I will send you this. It's a little blurry, but I thought it captured the spirit of the moment really well. And
it's really there.
Dude, this place, now the name is escaping me. I went back there 2 or 3 times because it was just the vibe. I wanted
to. It is so great.
Evan, you gotta mute Dercio on TikTok.
Pardon. Continue, Dercio, as you were.
Yeah, so this was an amazing day, actually. Birthday, and then Buenos Aires was a wild stretch of events. I met Evan, and I think a little bit more about me and less about Buenos Aires. So I love data, everything about data, from how do we capture it to how do we store it and gain insights from it, right? Like the best part about data is you can learn from it. You can learn about your users. You can learn about people visiting your event, or in many different places. You can write your own case studies, gain your own knowledge about something by just measuring. That is what fascinates me so much about data. It's like the different topics, the different fields of data is its own PhD on its own, just delving into what you have captured or what other people capture, and then kind of making sense of it.
Yeah, dude, I remember sitting down at the dinner. I remember, as I recall, we actually very quickly met in passing in Denver last year. You were working though, and I think I was also working. I was doing that little marketing hackathon. And I remember sitting down though next to you at dinner when you got there, and I told Alex about this conversation. We just went to town. I remember you really were getting into it, and I was like, oh man, this is so great. I love storytelling. I love learning what people are using their different tools for. And we talked about and backstage we were talking about it too. We were talking about show prep, because you're also really into production. Dercio is also, in fact, a legitimate DJ. We have a guest on our show. His name is William Quigley, and we always pick on him because he has a DJ set in his house, but he's not a DJ. He sometimes hosts parties. But Dercio is actually a DJ. So you're a man of many talents, and I just found myself so enthralled with that conversation. Dude, I mean, I would really like to get into more of what you've been working on. I was looking at Polar. I don't know anything about the science of, I told you then, or the craft of pulling data from different places, the ways to put it together. My form of storytelling is very this, who is the character? What are the words they say? How do they sound?
Yeah.
What does the scene look like? So, take me on a journey. Can you recap for Alex? Tell me more about just, I don't know. Have you always been that way, fascinated with telling stories through data?
The fascination is definitely deep in me. I like to revisit and trace back my steps. Sometimes it's just a couple months. Sometimes it's a big chunk of years. And what all of them have in common is just sticking with data. It's it's actually two things. It's events and data, but they never have come together like they did over the last months. So, during high school, when I graduated, my internship, data was always the topic that never left me, and I never wanted to leave it. So, and then events, that's my biggest hobby, running my own events, getting friends together, get an idea on a stage in a room, and then having people fill the room at the end. That is just two separate hobbies that apparently now make Polar. That's the funniest part. And when we go back to the first ETH Denver, I have seen your face. I've seen you around. That was actually my first time that I was working with Web0 in an event capacity.
Nice.
And to really think about what happened the 8 months following, me just being able to combine events with the data was like a full circle moment, where I went like, hey, I like data as a hobby. I took data professionally at some point, but events never. What's quite funny, because actually I wouldn't have gotten into the data topic that deep if COVID didn't happen, because otherwise I would be a full-time event stage manager and just setting up festivals and tearing them down after 3 days.
Yeah.
But, COVID happened. I couldn't major in this anymore. So it was like, okay, I guess let's try out data professionally in a home office. That worked out. And now I can share all those little story and details with you, Evan.
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of wanted to save it like a piece of candy that I was going to unwrap. Do you mind if I show the people a look at the website on the air and just tell them about, maybe you could walk me through like what the Polar product is designed to do? Yeah? Okay,
yeah, I can walk you through it. I think what's important is the context of Web0 here.
Okay.
Almost 12 months ago, when I joined Web0, it was just about me helping events and the DeFi side for our clients. And then kind of saw, hey, we have a lot of reporting to do for treasuries, for clients. And from the whole spiel of me managing now Web0's data, it was just like, we don't have any system. So to analyze across our 130 plus events, I built a lot of little tools, little scripts. And this is what now turned into Polar, like the maturity version that now everybody can use. This is what's about understanding your events, understanding the side events. If you run a conference, what worked, what didn't, make it really able for marketers to take your audience, segment it, and then run different email campaigns on them or re-invite them on an event where you think he will be happy to be seen there.
And, I'm curious to know, because you're into data, like, Web 2, Web 3, it's all data. But I'm really curious to know what particular data points you think, like, what are you doing here? What's different? Because, I don't know, somebody could build a Dune dashboard, or somebody could use, I don't know, Facebook events and do a Facebook pixel. Like, what's the secret sauce?
Secret sauce here is providing the tools that has been missing for marketers and event organizers. Getting all the data to self-improve, right? Like understanding, okay, how can we make the event better next time? You need data for that, and we give the ground for that. And on the second side, we also enable efficient reporting. I know Zoe, she was struggling spreadsheets full of informations about attendees that they appeared at the event, that they checked in, and it was never clear. And it's the same story across all Web3 event and marketers. It's just like, how can we analyze now that we did an event series for a year? How can we make and understand what has been happening besides on just the feedback, just the compliments on Twitter?
Yeah, are there any particular insights that like now you can capture or talk about, or even that were surprising to you?
Exciting to talk about is understanding community growth. So for each event, we kind of break it down how much your attracted community grow by new people or how many people return to your event. Kind of find your base audience that will always show up. That helps making decisions what the next city is, what the next country is, if you know where you have your most active people to catch up with, or even discover new places where you never have thought about joining a blockchain week. And we kind of enable that with those little details of actually understanding the people that come to your events.
Yeah, you know, Alex, this is one of the reasons I wanted to have this conversation here was Alex and I a couple years ago, we were trying to launch a platform that we were calling Show 'em. And it was based on this premise that, okay, now that people are doing crypto stuff, there's all this publicly available data about them. It's not necessarily tied to their identities, but it could be. Like, we could verify who you are and what you do so that only you know it, but you could prove it to anyone else. You know, we have this kind of at scale now, but we wanted to do a social network oriented around connecting people through this data in fun ways. For example, if players of a video game had a token that proved that this month they were the player who played the most hours of the game, or like had the most kills, or whatever, you could track any number of things, had been playing it the longest, was the most recent person to create an account, then you could surface all kinds of interesting insights about them that you could give them as achievements to like own, share. You could create an environment where they could flex it on other people. But also, if many brands of many kinds started doing this, then you might have interesting insights like, oh my God, this Overcooked player and all these Overcooked players love Burger King, for example, because maybe you've got tokens that are receipts for Burger King, and they also love Taylor Swift. And now Taylor Swift knows she needs to do an Overcooked collaboration. Or whatever, you know, somebody who's publishing a different game can see all these great players that play your game but not mine, or eat at your restaurant but not mine, and offer some kind of incentive to them and send it to them cheaply, instantly, on chain, without needing to know anything about them. It was complex. It was ahead of its time. And yet I get really excited about that. So, you know, Alex, I don't know if you have any questions that come to mind about this, but I figured Dercio would be the perfect kind of guy to jam on that sort of idea about, because that's like when you've got the data and you can prove something about somebody, I don't know, you can do that kind of thing. And wouldn't that just make life better, is kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, it makes attribution, how we know it from Web 2, right? Big companies try to attribute all customer contact points, right? Using the Facebook pixel, using Google Analytics, they try to understand where the people left onto different pages after using your platform. And then obviously it's the big brother of the advertisement platform of Meta to really understand, okay, this guy likes shopping on Amazon, especially clothes. So this ties all together. But there isn't really like a privacy preserving way of doing that. Like, hey, I love if I get funny ads about the socks, about funny socks. Like, you know, if it, there are many kinds, you know, and then it's just like, okay, please. Actually, if there is a funny brand that makes hilarious socks, please, you know, yeah, and then call me. Like, here's my phone number for free.
Yeah, I think I was always interested in that particular data project just because I felt like there was so much stuff that was out there that nobody was using or considering. And in the Web 2 world, excuse me, we do that all the time, right? Like you think about something and all of a sudden you're receiving more targeted advertisements about the thing that you just thought about. And in crypto, that doesn't exist. And I always thought it would be interesting if you could fix targeted marketing by making it anonymous to the person, so you don't need their personally identifiable information to target them with an ad that you think is on like tokens that they hold or things that they've done that they would enjoy. And if at any point they realize like I'm getting inundated with ads that I don't want, you basically just need to over to a different wallet address. And all of a sudden, at least, you know, a good handful of the ties that you had originally are severed. And I was just thought that was interesting because, you know, we keep launching a social media network is about the hardest thing that you can do. So hyper ambitious, but you know, it would be neat if the connections that you made with other people were based on the particular tokens that you held or your blockchain, your on-chain resume, as I like to call it, you know, and then meet up and mix with other people based on the stuff that you've done on chain. I feel like it would help kind of bring birds of a feather together on chain, as it were. It was a really cool idea, but I don't think we didn't really have the
no, we didn't have you, Dercio. We didn't have you.
Yeah. So and like one magic thing is what came to Web3. I mean, yeah, marketing, advertising networks. It's a big generic, right? And
yeah,
this now is taken care of. There are many big players, especially in Web3, that kind of take care of that. Base like Cookie3, Addressable, and GrowthMate. I don't know if they still are in Web3, but they kind of try to solve that problem, using a wallet and then understanding where they serve around to then do more targeted, successful ads. But there never have been, but there is not the incentive to go on chain. It's just, it's the world that's too small.
Yeah,
no one is here.
Like,
no one's here. Yeah, that is.
I don't know. That sucks.
Yeah, so this is where I actually worked at for quite a while. I contributed to actually GrowthMate, just making Web3 attribution possible and kind of going into the deep dives of how can we predict what ad to show to a wallet holder.
Yeah,
and
I figured someone has to know something I don't, because the only thing that was in my head while we were working on that whole idea was just this would theoretically reduce the cost of customer acquisition by a tremendous amount, because you could create way more specific targeted ad related experiences for people who might genuinely be interested, and those ads could be incentives for whatever it is. Like Evan said, if you realize there was a weird connection on chain identifiable between like people who bought Carhartt stuff and also people who ate at Subway,
macaroni and cheese, whatever.
Then in theory, Subway should start doing like a discount campaign on your next Carhartt thing, and it would be the weirdest collaboration ever, but the people who like felt really seen by it would probably lose their shit, because it would just be so interesting that like this was the way that companies and brands were collaborating, and happier consumers are, more likely to do stuff to consume. And it just always felt weird to me that I never really saw anything. We saw like one or two little fringe projects that popped up that were like something about on-chain advertising. But I mean, like Michael had that idea years ago where you could attach a memo line to a transaction and airdrop people like a token that came with a line that said like, hey, this is good for whatever, or like keep this in your wallet if you want to be considered for X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. I just thought that was so cool. And that's like all this data we're just not doing anything with, and it feels like a waste.
Dercio, I have a real quick side question for you since you mentioned the Awesome Sock Club. Tori wants to know, how do you feel about socks with toes? It's a no from me, dog.
Wow, it's a no from me. It's just, I like my shirt baggy so they don't linger on my skin, and then if each single toe, this will cause a nervous explosion.
Yeah, okay. Let us know in the comments if you're for or against toe socks. Let us know if you enjoy being advertised to when the commercials are fun. Have you seen, Dercio, because I'm on TikTok all the time now for work, I feel like when I happen to see a video that's an ad, they're becoming like AI slop and weirdly specific. It'll be like a poppy sounding AI generated song with an AI generated avatar, and they're highly targeted. It'll be like, if you're 35 years old and your back is starting to hurt and you kind of have long hair, and I'll be like, oh my God, like, you're talking to me? It feels weird. Like, it feels weirdly invasive though, because also it's like AI slop. And I know they have a version of that commercial that's like, is your husband 35 years old? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
T-shirts.
Yeah. Have you seen those commercials?
Yeah.
My brother-in-law was asking me about one that was like about dog training. And they're like really emotional, like designed to make you like fearful or excited or happy or sad to, I think, just make a purchase or do a click or something.
So I actually have one common occurrence. It's a song about undiagnosed ADHD,
Yeah.
But the diagnosis is 2 shelves away from me. Like, I don't need. I swipe up. You know.
Dude, I feel so targeted by that one. I have seen that one. I'm like, I already know. Thank you. See you later.
That's pretty late. 10 years late. But yeah.
Yeah, where were you 10 years ago? Right, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, but it's like they know so much about me, and that's one of the things that, I don't know, we're at a moment in crypto right now where I feel like a lot of people are bringing cool products like this together, where maybe instead of coming to us 10 years too late and mostly extracting from us based on our private data that got leaked or sold or something like that, maybe now we can start to opt in or be more private. Do you have any thoughts about that at all? About, like, I don't know, the privacy of data or the security related to it? It seems like that's a problem in the world that I only understand a little bit of. Just how, I don't know.
Yeah, I live and breathe it. I live and breathe it in many ways. Me being concerned of where my data is shared, you know, which shady e-commerce site sold informations to other advertisers so they have more to attribute and advertise to me. And then on the other hand, on Polar, we ingest so many. It's not necessarily our data we ingest, right? Polar itself doesn't use data. It's rather the people who implement us. So it's always keeping strict and common security practices and communicate like a wallet auth. Just like we always have a disclaimer, hey, this is what we capture. And then on the other side, the whole, I don't want to say dark web of advertisement, but the whole data selling, the whole, I would buy any rows of an Excel spreadsheet that makes me better at predicting what to show a particular person, no matter on their phone or on their web browser or when they're surfing. It's scary and sadly a normal thing. It's like not really. It is common sense in the industry that you go to such brokers if you want to accomplish something. It's like, yeah, it's the means of production here. It's normal. It's not like I feel bad buying attribution sources and then trying to target efficiently. It's more like, yeah, it's a tool for more effective ad spend, and not like, yeah, let's buy sensitive information that people gave other platforms and we could purchase them to then maximize ad spend. It's like,
yeah, it just makes me feel so, I don't know, icky in a weird way. It's a problem I hope people can solve. Go ahead.
You could justify it, by
totally
saying that, well, think about how much stuff we very freely with no afterthought, no forethought supply to the internet. But I think most of that is probably done just because you're not sure or you don't know like exactly what constitutes data, like what counts, what's going to be used, who's storing what, how long does it get stored for, does it get stored? I just sort of always default to. I kind of got this drilled into my head when I was in the military because, every time you send an email or an instant message between like a terminal, obviously it's being cataloged and stored and sorted and keywords get flagged and like that they can get read. So you just sort of imagine, imagine everything that you do before you send anything to anyone, before you upload anything to anywhere. Just imagine like someone else is looking at it, and how does that make you feel? Because it's true, someone is. And most of the time, it's just slop, and it's just being sorted through like, okay, nothing interesting here, really, really soft targets, don't care, looking for higher value stuff. But it still gets seen, and it's there, and theoretically it could become, someone could come back to it later. And I don't know, that's kind of informed, like every time I text anyone, I just imagine like, literally, I think this almost every time I'm texting anybody, anything. How do I feel if this whole conversation gets screenshot and shared? And that sort of informs like, okay, the way that I behave and the way that I put more thought into things that I say before I say them and all that sort of stuff. And I think part of that is probably because I was raised by my father and he used to make that very clear because he ran the home network and he ran a very tight ship and, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, dude, Alex's dad is like a character in the lore on our show.
My dad can beat up your dad.
I've had the pleasure of meeting him, and but he was like, you know, a software engineer before that was probably an official title in history. And it sounds like some of the stories from tech in those days, even though it was very different, are actually very similar to pretty much everything that goes on today. Like he's been dying on this hill for a long time.
Back in the day when you needed to use the computer, you had to sign up in a book and then wait in line and then go in, and there was a thing with a screen, you know, smaller than your phone, and the computer was the size of a house, and there was only one on the university campus. And back in those days, doing software.
Back in those days, yeah. I mean, this whole data thing, it's like, it's dangerous. Right now, I mean, we are crossing the line here. So, in communications, if intelligence force or a bad actor wants to find out what you're up to, they need to specifically target you, because there's so much swimming around, they cannot just capture everything and then filter for you. So that's like a super hard task, right? So now with AI, where you can just take the big fish net and then just let the AI do its job on finding out what are some people up to. You don't even need to be specific anymore. This is where mass surveillance just takes its big upgrade. And now when you think about, it's not your chat that you have in your hand. It could be the camera outside of your building that's managed by your landlord. It's so much more. And then if audio gets to play, usually audio conversations need to be nitpicked. You need to know when somebody's calling when, because you can't store all the phone calls at once at any time. And now we're turning into this reality where we actually can say, yeah, let's store everything. We can query it using large language model at any given time for anything. So this is just another worry that I'm actually thinking of. Like, I never caught myself, but sometimes I'm standing at a public ground and then just asking myself, if I say something here, will somebody able to crawl the sentence out of a database in like the next 5 years?
I worry less about physical spaces and more about hybrid spaces. And mostly what I worry most about is like my phone, my computer. You know what I mean? Like, my devices are around me all the time. And I make so much content. I'm cataloging everything all the time. My thoughts, my notes, you know, how I feel about something that happened to me that's personal. You know, I feel kind of okay about it because I'm like, oh, this is Apple and this is my voice note or whatever. But dude, smarter people than me lose stuff all the time. All the time.
100%. And it could be the small, innocent, quirky to-do list app where you just thought, hey, they have a new take on how to take notes, and I like to use it. Maybe fits a disorganized organization style better. And then you use it. Obviously, you see all the cookie banners, you accept the GDPR sheet, but at the end, you never read it. Like, they will disclose, obviously, they have to disclose who this data is passed on to.
Sure.
But there's nobody ever doing the due diligence to who are the people in the mix.
We have a comment here from Mark who says, my first job was at a grocery store, and we had an entire computer room with reel-to-reel recording. So basically everything that happened in the store. And that's kind of like how I feel my digital life has become. Like, just this room with cameras on every part of me, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. It's easier to keep sane, to just not think about it. Like, sometimes even if I quickly use my phone in the bathroom, I'm just like, wait a moment. I'm private here, right? The door is closed, but I have my phone in my hand.
I think, you know, all the time.
Why is it still unsettling using your phone in this room? You know, it's I
think it's terrifying. Like, just even because I get this question a lot from people who stay at the properties that we manage. Just, are there any cameras? I get the question all the time, And, obviously there's incredibly strict rules about that. Like if you have security cameras on a house that you Airbnb, they can only be outside and they can like only point certain places, and there can be no monitoring anything inside the house at all. And if you have it, it has to be taken out, and all that sort of stuff. Interestingly, there's like no enforcement on that. Like it's completely up to you to just like be a good person. And honestly, that just terrified me from like staying in other places, because I'm like, okay, I manage these houses. Like I'm the one who does everything in all these things, and I'm still looking around in these corners like, what if I just didn't know that there was like, I don't know. Dude. I think about it every time I go in to any rental, and I can only imagine that I don't know. I'm sure someone can relate to that. It's very like nerve-wracking because there are cameras everywhere.
It's not about really. I mean, yeah, cameras are everywhere, but sometimes it's like you're still not sure that there's not a camera in this room. When I check out a new Airbnb and it's like in a country where I'm like, no, yeah. If they accept Airbnb hosts from a foreign country, maybe they are a little bit more secure about what's happening inside the rental. So I'm just like, okay, let me check out some spots first before I feel welcome.
Yeah, not to put Airbnb on blast, but they do not have anything to do with that.
100%.
There's no like inspection. If you make a new listing, you take the photos and you upload them and you hit publish. And Airbnb's like, great, you want a new property discount applied to it automatically, and off you go. That's it. There's nothing. Yeah.
Okay, this is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Let me ask. Can we pivot to some of the good? Because I had some other questions I wanted to ask you that are just lighthearted. And if you've got something, of course, feel free. We're going to spend a couple more minutes with Dercio. We're going to have him back on the show because I would love just to have you around more. I would love to have your feedback on our production, your ideas. I think it might be cool to have you come and do some music for us sometime. There are lots of ideas. The collaboration is just getting started. But I do have to read people in and let them know. Alex and I are actively troubleshooting a technical error we've entirely foisted upon ourselves. Yes, we are going to undertake that great endeavor.
The merge.
It's a trap. We realized I have a doctor's appointment today, so I have to leave when Dercio leaves. And that's going to rug the whole TikTok stream, and it's going to cause problems for you, the listener, but we're going to smooth it out. Basically, what's going to happen, everybody in podcast land, nothing's going to change for you. You're just going to have to once again watch us fumble our way through a fake radio show.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
I'm gonna drop in a little bit when Dercio goes, and then we are going to start the stream on Alex's TikTok. So if you're watching on TikTok, just... And he's going to come back and give you a beautiful Jito tutorial. We'll hopefully do a lot of fanfare, smoke, and mirrors when Dercio and I leave. But for you won't even notice a thing. You will just have to, if you're watching on TikTok, rejoin from Alex's stream. So there we go.
How about giving us some fucking credit?
We're working here. Dercio, I really wanted to know, we didn't get to talk about this a lot. I know you're an event guy, and you're also like a make it work guy. I have a lot of pictures and photos from the Sub-Zero conference of you like walking around with a computer or sitting down to a computer or running to go get to a computer or like taping something together, like, or doing a DJ set, like whatever, but like making it work. That's one of the things I loved about working with the Web0 team is everybody there is like relentlessly committed to making it excellent and making it work. So everybody has a good time. So I'm curious if you have any vision for like the perfect event, and that could be the place you want to host an event. That could be like the subject of the event. Is it a festival? Is it whatever? I know you have it in your brain, events you would love to do. And I'm just curious, man, like when you're hosting the party, where are you taking me?
When I'm hosting a party, where will I take you? I guess my first big conference was maybe 2019 or even a little bit earlier. I went to the one of the biggest gaming convention happening here on Earth. It's in Cologne, a city next to me, and it's like in the Cologne facilities. It's like a big rooms. It's like it's crazy how big of a convention center it is. That's the word I was looking for. I would definitely love to be involved in something like that. It doesn't even need to be me hosting something like that, but just like see a production on the largest scale possible in my home region. I think that is something that I aspire, and I would love to invite you.
Dercio, I wanted you to, without revealing too much about yourself, and not that it matters, but something that, really I think surprises people, because we have all ages of people listening to our show, is how much life you've lived. And you're, I would say, compared to me, a young man. Though I consider you my peer and my brother and my friend. Do you feel comfortable telling people about how old you are?
Yeah, I do. Is it a moment?
Yeah,
I tell
at this
people.
very second. How many years, months, days, and hours old are you?
Yeah, if you
It's
might.
like, how old are you?
If you saw a picture, this is the night where I turned 23.
Yeah.
And
you've lived a lot of life, dude. You've been around the world. You've built some cool shit. You're just such a great example of, man, I wish I had met you when I was, I don't know, 16 and been like, oh, this guy's, he's just a couple years older than me. And now I look at you and I'm like, oh, you're just a couple years younger than me. But you are using your free will really well, I think.
Really liberal use of the word couple there.
Oh, come on, man.
You old fart.
Come on, Alex. This is terrible. Whumping you for that. But I just think you're doing great, dude.
it's just, doing whatever. It's basically knowing. I mean, I tried to kind of be what people expect, and that just really destroyed me. So I was just like, I guess I stay the freak I am, and it only works out good for me. So so I guess it's good.
Yeah, dude. Okay, I would love to have you back again sometime. Like I said, my goal was just really to let our audience get to know you. But before we go, you and me, do you have any final thoughts, asks, anything we didn't ask you that you want to share about before we get out of here and ride a dog and a pony into the sunset?
Oh wow, that sound, you had that sound ready. I was surprised. Yeah. So for me, it's just like everybody who is excited as much as about data and I stick around. Apparently, this is not my last time. And for everybody who likes to talk about data, reach out. It's like just on Twitter, Spanish_vanish. Give it a go in my inbox. Let's talk about data, guys.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Spanish_vanish on X. He's your friend and mine. And let me do this. And then I wonder, can you give us our epic walk-off music? Do you got it?
Yeah, sure. Let me tune it down. I think it was loud, right?
Yeah, but let's hit it.
Let's hit it. Okay, let's do it.
All right, Alex. Dercio and I are getting out of here.
We're getting out of here.
We're jumping off the TikTok stream. Go over to Alex's page and pick back up with a Jito tutorial. Have a lot of fun. Okay.
Ciao. Bye-bye.
See you guys. Bye, everybody.
All right. Are you? Oh.
You want me? Do you want me, sweetheart?
No, I was just gonna say. I got it. Never mind.
Wasn't that epic? I love the walk-off music. I'll stay here with Alex. I'll stay here with Alex while he starts the new stream for the people in podcast land. If you missed it, last week we started a series on Jito, how to DeFi, participate in decentralized finance, be your own bank. How do you get along in a world where everybody is harvesting your data mostly for their benefit at your expense? You opt out. And we are showing you how to use the same technology that makes cryptocurrency possible to opt out of extractive models for finance, savings accounts, banks that don't really share a cut of the interest with you. We're getting started today with our sponsor partner, Jito. I'm talking about Jito.network if you want to play along at home. The first part of this series is on YouTube right now in its own dedicated video, and we're going to do a couple of more next week. We're going to have Dr. Almond, Nick Almond. He is the head of governance over at Jito, and he's going to walk us through what it looks like to participate in governing a pretty cool protocol. Alex is going to walk you through it. I'm going to leave him to it. And is that good for you? Are you feeling good?
I'm good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your friend and his. See you later.
Thanks, buddy. All right. Well, we should be back up and running. If you guys can hear me, if everything sounds good, let me know. That was an interesting little kerfuffle. It took about 8 seconds after the show started that Evan and I both realized that the wrong person was driving, and that was going to cause some problems. But you know what? We're back, so I'm going to give everyone just a quick second to hop in here while I get my tabs going, and then we're going to jump in and do some DeFi stuff. So in the meantime, please feel free to ask questions. This one is, so we've gotten to the point now where this is going to be pretty open-ended. Like, we could spend, you know, there's kind of there are numerous ways that we could go. There are a bunch of different ways that we could take this whole thing. And so the first installment of this tutorial series, we did just the basics. We got started, right? So we did a Jito onboard. If you missed it, it was last week. Someone, I should have probably written down which episode number it was in, but the whole tutorial has been clipped out. It's a standalone thing. I will put it in Circle. If you guys are not in there, shout out to the free Rise Up community, community.rumshq.com. And then, so we just did an onboard to Jito. You staked some SOL there, and you got the liquid staking token, Jito SOL, in return. And now I'm going to give you 2 things that you can do with that, recognizing that there are quite a few. And then we're just gonna get started with a couple easy ones. So talk amongst yourselves, ask questions, do whatever. I'm just pulling up every single one of these tabs, and we will start the screen share and get this show on the road. And then we're actually going to do a little tiny tidbit on a different platform, which you probably have heard me talk about, Kamino. So one of the options we will do is right there on Jito where we started, and then the second one is on Kamino itself. And so DeFi, here we go. I was up way too late last night, spending time poking around on some other DeFi stuff, and interesting tidbit that I'll share with you guys. I have used Phantom as a wallet predominantly for like most stuff for quite a while, and I've never really had a reason to change. And yesterday I was sorting through everything in the wallet, and just, you know, sometimes I forget things that are in there. There's quite a few different things in there. And I just noticed that Phantom was not displaying anything on the Polygon chain, even though I had the chain enabled. So I was like, okay, well, this is annoying. And I decided, you know what? I created a Rabby wallet a while ago, and I never really did anything with it. Rabby, there you go. And I was like, let's give it a shot. It's time to do an onboard. Let's see what happens. And I gotta say, it's really good. It's really, really good. So that is, that's the one I'm kind of like daily driving right now, just to sort of see how it feels. But I moved a couple things over. So far, the process has been really great. It's very, very smooth. I would agree with that description of it. Big fan. Not sponsored by Rabby, but it could be. And I don't know. I'm poking around to see who I know that might be over there, or who I know that can connect me with somebody over there. But all right, enough yapping. Let's get to the DeFi. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and I'm going to show you just a few of the easiest place to get started after staking. So on the screen now, and TikTok, bear with me, because I'm going to turn it around so you guys can see it too, and do my best to draw. Okay. All right. Here's this. Is Rabby just for ETH? No, it is not just for ETH. They index a ton of chains, but it is only for EVM. Everything is EVM. So there's no Solana. Anything that's non-EVM is not indexed over there. Okay. All right. So bear with me here. So if you'll recall, when we first got started, we were on a homepage right here. All we did was connect a wallet right up here. Hit stake now. It takes us to this dashboard, and then you're able to pop down here, and you can see Jito SOL balance if you are running one, current trajectory of rewards, and currently where it's been. So I haven't been running this one for very long. But as you can see, already starting to accumulate, and there's a little history for you as well. Now, after you do this, it will actually prompt you with a pop-up to head over to DeFi, and there's just a bunch of stuff here. So a couple of quick disclaimers. Every single thing that we're talking about here carries with it some amount of risk, okay? Whether or not that risk is so high that you would find it prohibitive, or whether it's so low that you wouldn't really consider it that risky, that is only something that you can say. It's totally up to you. I would, if you are unsure of how risky something is, it's probably best to hit pause just momentarily and spend a little bit of time reading about it. As you can see, there are a number of different things that can be done. So like, here is a borrow and lend strategy. Here's a liquidity provision strategy. Here's a looping strategy. Here's a restaking option. All of these things are different, and all of them carry with them, like I said, some kind of a risk. So just before we got into it, I wanted to make sure everyone was aware that DeFi is risky. But you know what? That used to honestly keep me out of it until I realized that just holding cash is also risky. Except it's like a guaranteed risk, wherein, you know, it's just like losing value at a good old clip, and I don't know, that just bothers me. So I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk in an effort to get ahead. Okay, so starting at the top, they are indexing 43 different places, different strategies, and as you can see here, let's just go really quickly through how to read each of these lists. So the first thing that you're going to see, a couple logos and some ticker symbols. So this is indicating the tokens involved in whatever it is that we're doing here. So this very first one, you can see, is Jito Sol and Sol as a pair. The current TVL of this particular liquidity pool is 13.1 million. It is hosted by Kamino. It is, in fact, a liquidity pool. If you'd like to run some audits or check out the audits that have been done, or look at the code itself, because this is an open source protocol, you can do both of those here. And any amplified rewards. So this little tab right here at the very end, rewards, availability of bonus rewards for participating. And you'll notice a common theme here. For participating in any of these things, at least the top however many here, you can earn amplified rewards in the currency JTO, which is the governance token that Jito uses for voting primarily. Okay, so let's start with the first one here. So like I said, we've got a liquidity provision on Kamino. Actually, the top pretty huge. This is all just a different bunch of different pairings that you can provide liquidity for. Quick aside, if you are unfamiliar with the concept of providing liquidity, effectively what you're doing is supplying tokens to a pool, either one or two usually, and those tokens that you are providing are being used to facilitate buys and sells in and out of that pool. And in return, you can get paid reward. You can get paid fees that would be generated by the trading of those tokens that you're providing. Liquidity providing is one of those little bit more involved DeFi strategies. It requires some maintenance and some upkeep. And one of the reasons that I'm excited to show you guys Kamino specifically is because Kamino has this very interesting feature that I have not seen elsewhere. I'm sure it exists somewhere else. If you know of one, please let me know, where you can provide only one of the paired tokens, and Kamino will, that is the protocol, will on their side split it, facilitate the maintenance of the two tokens together, and you can just kind of watch it happen, but it's very hands-off. And I think that's really cool. So the very first thing that we're going to do here is actually, we'll just take this very first one and pop over to Kamino and check this out. So you can go right from here. A little disclaimer that you are leaving Jito and going to a different website. We'll share this one. And here is Kamino. Okay, so we are now looking at the profile page section here for this particular liquidity pool. So like I said, we can confirm TVL there, about $13.1 million TVL in this pool in particular. This is Jito Sol and Sol liquidity. We've got some other metrics up here. We have info about exactly what's going on. This is the farm information for the boosted fees and how much JTO you can receive or earn. And then over here is where you would go to manage the position. And so effectively, all you're doing, and now, okay, sorry, one more disclaimer. I know there's a lot. Kamino is not available to everybody. If you are in the United States, you need to use a VPN for this. Depending on where you are in the world, the rules are different. I don't know what every different country's rules for every single protocol are, but it will tell you immediately whether or not it's something that you're able to do. So as you can see here, it says region unavailable because my VPN is currently off. But if it was on, that would not say. So the cool part here is this little feature, single asset deposit. I'll linger here for just a second. So basically what happens is that you would pick one of the two sides and you would deposit only that one side. So if you only had Sol, but you wanted to provide to this pool, you could do that. Or if you only had Jito Sol and you didn't want to supply any other Sol, you could do that as well. And Kamino will swap the tokens into the correct balance for you. There's no fee for doing that on the Kamino side, but you do have to opt into slippage and DEX fees because Kamino is not going to, they're not a DEX. As you can see here, the DEX that they are using to facilitate this service is Orca. So if you wanted to learn more about Orca and how they structure fees and all that sort of stuff, you can go check that out. They're another good one. Exit Velo asks, if you log in without a VPN, will it stop you, flag you, or is there a risk you can lose it if they see? Nope. It just marks that you're not in a region where it's allowed, and you would have to honestly just turn it on and refresh. But no, never had an issue with that. Anyway, down here, you can also see a little bit of more information just about the transaction that you're about to take. So you would pick, the amount of Sol that you were going to deposit, or if you wanted to do Jito Sol, just drop down menu there. You can uncheck this if you want to do more of a hands-on management strategy and pick exactly how much and all that good stuff. You can do that. I don't, because who's got the time? And then down here would be the rest of the information there. So as soon as it's done, you would basically just hit deposit and stake, and that's it. That's the final button. You would approve the transaction. And then over here, you would have my position. So I'm currently not running one. I tossed one in, I don't know, a few weeks ago just to test the whole process. And even just in that little bit, I forget how long it was there, not very long, earned a few JTO tokens. So you can claim those right here. As soon as they accumulate, they start to accumulate very quickly. More position information appears down here. And then, you can track it. And here's a little bit of history for you on whatever it is that you were doing. Now, a couple of other things to be aware of. Let me turn us around here. Okay. A couple of other things to be aware of. Fun fact, when you are hosting, they move where all of the buttons on TikTok are. So it becomes harder to start flipping screens and doing all that. You ever have that feeling where you have a thought and you can feel it fall out of your head? I just did that. Oh, okay, I gotcha. So on this, if you're doing the single asset, one of the things that will happen inside of a liquidity pool when you're providing liquidity is that the position gets rebalanced. Okay, it's not always going to be the exact same thing. So if you deposited 5 Sol and whatever the counterpart to that in Jito Sol was, then you might look back at it, in this case, because it's being managed for you, in a week. And because the price of these assets is fluctuating on a regular basis, you'll see that the pool, the pair that you're providing to, gets rebalanced. And so you might notice all of a sudden that the amount is the same. Like the overall value is the same, including the reflection to whatever the current price change has been, if it went up, if it went down, whatever. But the amount of the two tokens might be different. So just keep that in mind. It's not a cause for concern if you see that and you were like, hey, I deposited, 7 Sol and now there's only 6. They stole one. No, they didn't. The other side has now probably increased to account for an imbalance in the pair based on price change. That's one of the reasons that doing it without management can be a little bit tricky. Evan actually has probably one of the best videos I've ever seen about the specific intricate inner workings of liquidity providing and exactly what is going on behind the scenes, and exactly when you can fall out of range and what that means and all this kind of stuff. I will get him to shoot me over the link to it, and we can put that in the circle as well. It was a while ago now. I'm sure it's pretty buried on his page. But anyway, that's literally how easy that is, though, to set that up. When I first found that one, I just remember thinking this was really cool. This was a really cool way for someone to be able to toe dip into a new DeFi strategy without having to take on quite as much of the risk as if you were, managing yourself. So shout out there to Kamino for making it easy. Back over on the Jito side, though. So TikTok, sorry, I'm just looking right back at that same page we were originally on with the full page. Let me toss that up here. And apologies, I'm not doing a great job of reading the chat right now, but bear with me and I will check for questions in just a moment. So you'll notice here that we have a bunch, like I said, we have a bunch of different options. So that first one is Jito Sol and regular Solana. The next one down is a Jito Sol and JTO reward pool. Now you'll notice that the APYs, the fees that you can earn, the returns that you can get for providing liquidity, as that number goes up, typically why that's happening is because the two tokens that you're providing liquidity with are more volatile. They're smaller. They need more people to provide liquidity, so that's incentivized, all that sort of stuff. So typically, like, the safer ones are a little bit lower. The same thing can be said about pretty much everything in DeFi. Like it's the reason that stablecoin yield on USDC is probably going to be a little bit lower than, locking some super sketchy token somewhere where they really need to try to convince you to do it. So they, advertise a crazy APY. You guys remember, to pick anything, Olympus DAO. There's all sorts of crazy, like, oh, they're paying you 8,000% APY right now. It's, yep, because, the thing could rug at any moment, and who would know? But there's a ton. I honestly don't even know what all of these different ones are. I never really go this far down. A couple of these names I do recognize. ONYC. There's a couple of other different protocols that have their own liquid staking, and you can provide liquidity for all of those. Okay, so coming down here too, if you take Jito Sol also on Kamino, I'm gonna go right back. There's another one where you can just simply supply Jito Sol to be loan collateral, and right now doesn't seem like that's actually a super fantastic strategy. APY is pretty low, but that's kind of one of the things that you actually maybe that's not what that means. This is organized a little strange. We'll come back to that one. Sticking over here on Jito, let me bring you back, TikTok. 2 seconds here. One more thing that you can do that you might have heard the term before is restaking. So again, from the top, you logged in, you connected, you staked. Okay, great. We're earning this yield right here. We are holding this liquid staking token, Jito Sol. Like I said, if you want to stop there, you can stop right there, but you don't have to. So if you pop over here to restaking, here are the restaking rewards, and there's a whole bunch of different things that you can restake here. So they don't facilitate only their token. They let you do stuff with a whole bunch. So what you can see here is a couple different things. So in the first column, we see the vault. So this is the protocol that is curating the vault in question. It accepts all of these different things. So we're interested here in this very first one. They're gonna, wrap it for you and go from there. And then right here would be your current token balance. So if we were to start just with this very first one, it's getting a little bit washed out here. This button says select vault external. It's just very, very light blue. So we're going to do that. We're going to come over here to Frag Metric. Frag Sol is their liquid staking token. And what you're going to do is select, in this case, your Jito Sol. My wallet's not currently connected to this protocol. I haven't used it, but then it would be right down here. That's all there is to it. You would connect, pick the amount that you would like to restake, and all that does is take the Jito Sol that you are currently holding, which is accumulating your staking rewards from Jito, and allow you to compound that interest a little bit. And you can see here that it adds a decent little chunk. Now, it's important to recognize, as we talk about all of these different things that you can be doing, that this is exactly what I mean when I say that risk also elevates. Because now think about how removed you are from the original asset. So if you are holding USDC, you have exposure to the dollar. What's your risk? Your risk there is that USDC could fail. As far as crypto risks go, that is about as low as it gets. It's not zero, but it's very low. Take it the next step. Buy Solana. Now what's your risk? The price of Solana can drop. It could become harder for you to trade it. You might have to look harder at different places to find a place where you can trade or swap that token. With Solana or any other like major, top 20 crypto, that is pretty unlikely, but it's possible. Okay, moving forward, I stake it. I now have a liquid staking token in my wallet, and my SOL is currently, off being used by the blockchain to facilitate blockchain stuff. Okay, cool. I've added another risk. What's my risk now? Now the risk is that the price could still change. I'm still exposed to that underlying asset. I still have to worry about swapping. But now there's one more layer of separation between me and the money because it's sitting on this protocol and I'm holding this other token, the Jito Sol. Okay. We're still relatively low risk overall, but it is increasing. It is riskier to do that than it is to just hold USDC. So that's kind of what I mean. Every single time you add a new layer to the DeFi strategy that you're participating in, just be aware of whatever that risk is. And if you're not sure, then that's a great thing to ask questions about. Happy to help. Okay. Give me 2 seconds here, everybody. I appreciate you bearing with me as I drive both of these sides by myself. I'm going to scroll up here and look for any questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to re-ask them if it's been a minute. Annoyingly, when you're hosting on TikTok, it shows you like a line for everything. So the chat looks like it's flying even if the comments don't come in. So stuff just gets buried very quickly. Also, suffice it to say, if someone in the comments over here is asking you to DM them, don't DM them. Talk about things that you can do that are risky. Don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna actually leave it there with just those two options. That was kind of a lot. It's not quite as I'll probably rerun from the top when I have Evan or Will back so that I can get a little bit of help with the screen share assistance. I think in retrospect that was probably that was a little bit chaotic to try to do as one person, but please feel free to ask if you're not sure, you got lost anywhere in that tutorial. It was a lot of back and forth. But for the rest of the show here, I got about 20 more minutes. I'm happy to take any questions, DeFi related or otherwise. I've got a couple more shows today. So Trust Issues is running this afternoon at 3. I really want to go through some of the new amendments that we've been seeing kind of circulated and introduced about Clarity, and then sort of what the specific ramifications are moving forward for the rest of crypto. There's some really interesting news that actually specifically relates to adaptations that companies are undertaking to try to become, more compliant with this stuff. Polygon being the biggest one. We can touch on it, but actually we're being joined by Rudo, who's been here several times, who's going to come and hang out with us tomorrow morning and talk about some of the stuff that they're working on. They've had some major acquisitions recently. That news just broke yesterday. Thanks to one of those acquisitions, the one of CoinMe, there are a whole bunch of licenses that they acquired to do all sorts of different stuff all over the country, which is very exciting. And then Rudo's going to talk to us more about their open money stack developments and that whole endeavor. So Trust Issues is this afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern, runs for about an hour and a half or so. And then this evening, we will also be running After Dark at 8 p.m. Eastern. Question came in, are you open to partnerships from crypto exchanges? It really depends. I'm open to having a conversation with anybody. Not to sound like a douche, but the standards that I would hold any potential partners of Rise up to are relatively high. There's some really specific things that are non-negotiables for working with us, but I'm more than happy to have the conversation with anybody. I can't guarantee that anything will work out, but you know, the first thing that we usually recommend, I don't know why I just said usually recommend, it's a requirement. If we're going to work with anyone, is that they join us on the show first, because my number one priority is making sure that everyone who watches it enjoys the content. And so if we're like, if you get offered money from some sponsor and no one in the audience would be interested in it or enjoy hearing about it, then it wouldn't be fair to the audience to force you guys to listen to a bunch of stuff that's not applicable, not interesting, or not relevant. And then it wouldn't be fair to the company to take their money when it probably wouldn't work out. And, you know, I just wouldn't want to. I've always said, you know, if you're not excited about the sponsor, don't take it. And so with exchanges, it really depends. I'm inclined to say for the most part, probably not, but I'm very happy to have the conversation. But yeah, please feel free to reach out. DMs on TikTok are a nightmare. But Alex at facelesslabs.io is a good email address to hit me up. All right. Got to get ready for work. Appreciate you joining. Thanks for hanging out. Send a DM. Sounds good. I'll do my best to find it here after the show. My DMs are a hellscape, but I will do my best. Solemn asks, what type of metrics should you be using to quantify a level of risk exposure? Okay, great question. There's a few things. If we're talking about risks like in these specific DeFi, it's different for every strategy. And honestly, shout out, this is a great question where you can take a really specific example and toss into one of the LLMs and ask it to list out for you, you know, say be as thorough as possible. You know, assume that I want to know about every single possible risk. What are the risks associated with liquidity providing? What are the risks associated with holding X, Y, and Z token? So the things that I would check right off the bat, if I'm looking at supplying or, you know, like staking or, you know, using a borrowing and lending protocol, I do really want to know about TVL. I want to know how much is on the platform. I want to know how likely it is, to, you know, pay me out the rewards that are advertised. I want to know what they're like, how long have they been operating for? I want to know what the volume is. I want to know what demand looks like. I want to know on the supply side and on the borrowing side. For swapping, I don't care quite as much about TVL. What I'd really like to know about is on-hand liquidity, how much money is available for me to trade in and out of. The higher that is, the less likely I am to get stuck with a token that I don't want. Also with liquidity providing, I just saw Transmutationist mention impermanent loss. I do want to understand the concept of impermanent loss, which is basically where a pair that you're providing to a pool falls out of balance because of price changes in the underlying assets. And at the time when you are supplying, that loss is on paper only. Like if you have not withdrawn and realized the loss or the imbalance, it's impermanent, meaning that if the price recovers back to whatever you started at or falls back into your range, that loss can be erased. It's a very similar concept to the idea of holding a token and it dropping in price and you not selling. On paper, you have less. If you were to sell right now, you would return less than you started with, but you could stick it out and hope that it recovers, and then that loss would go away. So, you know, you can make it permanent, but, you know, you don't have to, which is another one of those reasons that I usually say, you know, liquidity providing is kind of like a level 2 sort of a thing. What else would be a good, I mean, yeah, like I said, volume, I definitely want to know about the fee structure on a particular platform. So like DeFi Carrot, for example, you know, they have minting fees and selling fees, and that's how they make a little bit on the service. I want to know what that threshold is. I want to know how often rewards get paid out. But your standard metrics would just be TVL, volume, growth, revenue, fees generated, all that sort of stuff can all indicate, you know, a healthy or an unhealthy protocol. Good question. Good morning. Good to see everybody. Why I always say start with like 100. Yeah, honestly, whenever I get started, my go-to is if I just want to test out, like, you know, how's the deposit experience? What's the withdrawal experience? Are there time constraints? You know, I will literally just take $10 and do that. And see, I'm willing to pay $10 to figure out a platform. If I lose it, I lost it. That's how much I was willing to spend in order to figure out exactly how it works, or whether it was something I enjoyed, or, you know, whether something about it was wrong or whatever. But yeah, no, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with making a specific decision to spend money doing something, and then just kind of, you know, seeing how it shakes out. Nani, great to see you. All right. As we get ready to wind down here, if you have any last minute questions about any of this, I am going to write up the specific steps that we just went over, just because I know there was a lot of back and forth and it was a little bit choppy. But just to cover it from the top, Jito is a liquid staking platform, meaning that when you stake, you get a token in return. You can take that token, you can do all sorts of stuff with it to compound the interest that you're earning. This is really where the magic of DeFi starts to come in. I just had a conversation yesterday on Brandon and Jerry's show, Exit Liquidity. They were on not too long ago, and they were kind enough to invite me, and we got to talking about one of the questions that they asked was, okay, if I'm talking to someone brand new about why DeFi is important, you know, what do you say? How do you start that conversation? And I love this conversation because, you know, what's some common ground that we can all find? We've probably all experienced a bank at some point. Happy Life asked what I know about GMC. I don't know what that is. The car. If it's a crypto, I need a little bit more information. Anyway, I'm sure we can all share in some sort of experience that we've had with a bank using one. I usually then like to ask people if they know how banks make money, because spoiler alert, banks made over $300 billion last year, and they're probably going to make more this year. They make that money by doing very similar things to what we're talking about here, just honestly more sketchy. You know, you deposit your money into that bank, and they take it and they loan it out to people. They charge them an interest rate. They give you a couple pennies in return. You know, and they pocket the difference. And all we're doing in the world of DeFi is pretty much exactly the same stuff that they're doing, but like with our own assets, keeping them mostly ours. You know, some protocols are more decentralized than others. Solemn, that's a good one. I would definitely want to at least know the specific incentive for the platform or the protocol that I'm looking at. And what I mean by that is I would want to know what they're like, how much VC funding did they get? Who backed them? How does that go? Like, what does that partnership look like? Depending on how heavy the VC exposure is, you can kind of figure, honestly, that can be both a good thing and a bad thing. With heavy VC interest or investment, it can mean that liquidity is deeper. It can mean that they're much more likely to be able to do what they say they're going to do. You know, it's just also that would be something that I would want to be aware of. A lot of nuance there, but I would at least want to know. GMC is green. Oh, green meme coin. That's that scam that dude made. Yeah. It's a scam. Didn't it get rugged? I think I just saw that yesterday. He's like hawking a new token now because the other one got rugged. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. But it's very suspicious that it was like this huge deal, and shilled the crap out of it for a very long time, and then all of a sudden someone just magically stole a huge chunk of the supply and immediately extracted all of the liquidity. And it's like, okay, crap, shut that down. Let's make a new one. And now he's advertising another one. I mean, dude, I couldn't. If you invested in that, I'm very sorry. Don't touch anything from that guy. Just nothing has rubbed me the wrong way more aggressively than him hawking that. It's presented like a guarantee, like this sure thing. First of all, that's illegal. Can't do that. He purports to have all these attorneys, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how many attorneys you think that I believe that you have for your meme coin, but yeah. Aquila says DeFi Llama charges a fee for what? DeFi Llama is an information platform, and all the information is free. You can pay them for stuff. They have like a premium membership where you can use their AI for stuff. I think they have like a newsletter that you can subscribe to. They have a couple of things that you can pay for, but DeFi Llama itself is a free open source aggregation of DeFi related information and data. You don't have to pay for it. You can use all of that for free if you want to look something up. Okay, I'll give you a little of my so the Clarity Act, for anyone who's unaware, started off as a piece of legislation inspired by what was begun with Fit 21, which of course was vetoed by President Biden during his administration. The new and improved Clarity Act made its way through the House, and it was okay. It was not a necessarily bad piece of information or legislation. Sorry. Now it's in the Senate, and things are changing. In the wake of Genius passing, the bank lobby is relatively upset because their monopoly on money is being threatened. Monopoly is probably not the right word to use there, but you know what I mean. And so now there's some pretty significant lobbying efforts being done to change the language in Clarity to prohibit certain kinds of rewards being paid. And the only person who's really losing in that particular equation is you and me. So yeah, just like Black XXOR said on TikTok, they're getting cut out. That's kind of the problem here. Banks have had like a very singular line into the use, custody, and lending of money. Now the tech that is tokenization opens that up to more people. The regulations being put forward in Genius and in Clarity make it so that other companies are able to participate in that too. With regards to Genius, it's any financial institution who creates and issues a stablecoin. They have certain backing requirements. They can make money off of purchasing those backing assets and arbitraging them to keep the peg for their stablecoin, whatever. Clarity attempts to do a couple things. One, it attempts to create some sort of enforcement definition. Which agency is in charge of enforcing which things on which people for which stuff. I don't necessarily believe that it does a fantastic job there. It's pretty vague when it comes to defining the terms that they use to determine, jurisdictional authority. So that needs some work. It's an okay place to start, but the part that really concerns me is just that we are beginning to solidify the foundation of rules and laws in the United States that will make it very hard for truly decentralized protocols to function. That's all clearly being done in an effort to drive people and keep them, using the corporate platforms. Crypto exchanges benefit from this. Stablecoin issuers benefit from this. Decentralized exchanges are hurt by this. Just because, they're asking for things that they don't even have the option to do. VPN solves a lot of problems. Unfortunately, not everything, because, just makes it harder to use a thing. And, it cuts out a large amount of the potential user base. It makes it hard for these DeFi protocols to function. what happened to all the ETF approvals that were supposed to happen? Depends which ones you mean. Quite a few got approved, and since then a number of other ones have been approved. Some of them are terrible, some of them are pretty good. Yeah, there's kind of we were really in ETF season there for a little while now. Anyway, I am just about going to wind down here. We can pick up the conversation this afternoon about Clarity and Genius. These bills are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages long. I don't recommend that anyone like sit down and try to read the entire thing. But it's definitely a worthwhile conversation to have, like, you know, copy and pasting text from Congress's website into one of the LLMs and asking it to try to help you decipher some of the legislative and legal jargon, because there's a lot. You can get some pretty good insights about, you know, like, hey, what are the holes? Who benefits the most from, you know, from the Genius Act, from the Clarity Act? What's the point? All that sort of stuff. But yeah, no. Overall, I like the spirit of Clarity, but I'm pretty disappointed in like the way that it's working out, especially because it's relatively bipartisan against us, which is kind of a problem. Who is going to be joining me on Trust Issues today? I will have both Emily and Lindsay today. Lindsay is going to be with us for the first hour, and then Emily and I will land the plane into the second hour. Have to say that was a great explanation. I appreciate that with regards to DeFi and to using Jito and using Kamino, I would imagine. But yeah, Marinade's another good option. You can liquid stake on Marinade as well. They return you MSOL, and if that's the one that you're holding, then you do have options with MSOL as well. And actually, here I'll show you one final thing. This is kind of neat. Speaking of DeFi Llama, TikTok, don't worry, I'm going to turn you around here in just a second. All right, so if you go to, so this is just DeFi Llama's homepage. There you go. If you come over here to yields, so this is right now an unsorted master list of just all of the different places that, you know, you can earn yield with all sorts of different tokens. And we can sort this by token specifically. So if you had Jito Sol and you wanted to know where you can do stuff, you can sort by only Jito Sol. And here is going to be a full list of all the places that you can go do things with. And there's the pool. So if it has one, it's a single-sided pool. If it has two, it's a double-sided pool. There's the project or the protocol being used, what chain it's on. These are obviously all going to be on Solana. TVL of the protocol, current interest being offered, base interest being offered. If you see a discrepancy between APY and base APY, that means that this number, the APY, not the base, is being supplemented by another token. So take Katana, for example, DeFi chain incubated by Polygon. They are currently offering like 45% APY on USDC. That includes like 6% in USDC, but it also includes like 35% paid to you in CAT tokens, the native token for that chain. So just something to be aware of. But you can always tell that by looking at the APY and the base APY and comparing them. And actually, DeFi Llama will also note here, if there's a reward API, which would be in addition to the base, then it'll be listed right here. But if you don't have Jito Sol, you can do the same thing for anything really, but you could do MSOL. This is Marinade's liquid staking token, and exact same list applies. And I am such a dweeb. Sorry, YouTube, Twitter. Here you go. This is what I mean. There's too many things to do. So, like I said, DeFi Llama, go to yields, type in the token you'd like to find yield options for, full list. You can sort by anything too. Right now, these are sorted to be highest TVL on the top, but you can sort by highest interest rate. You can sort by rewards. You can sort by 30-day average. And up here, there's a whole lot of other things that you can add or subtract or whatever about, you know, different kinds of information data that you'd like to see. But you can do this for anything. If you just have USDC, cool, do that too. Here's all of the yield options for USDC from all of these different protocols with all these different rewards, all these different chains. You can see there's, just for USDC, there are 3,152 different places that you can earn yield from 495 different projects across 110 different blockchains. And they'll give you that stat for anything. But I mean, you know, literally pick whatever you want. You have RLUSD. You want to know what you can do with it? There you go. Here are all of the different wrapped versions of RLUSD, different liquidity pools between USDC and RLUSD, the protocol in question, what chain it's on. You'll notice that all of them are on Ethereum, because that's just the way that it works. And, you know, TVL, APY, all that good stuff. Very cool. So I would definitely recommend just, you know, come poke around here, toss in, you know, whatever it is that you're looking to earn yield on. If you're not sure whether or not you have the option to earn yield on something, you can look here. Now, they don't track every single thing. DeFi Llama is pretty particular that if they cannot publicly verify through an open sourced manner the information, they're not going to display it. So if they have to like take a company's word for something, they're not going to display it. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Appreciate all of you for hanging out and with me. I know this was a little bit chaotic, but I hope you learned something. If you have any lingering questions, let me know. I will once again give the plug for our free community, community.rumshq.com. Sorry, TikTok, I know that we're just jumping all over the place today. There it is. If you have any questions about any of this, if you want some second opinions or feedback on something that you think may be a scam or may be too good to be true, if you just are looking for someone else who's maybe used something, you want feedback on a new protocol that you've never touched before, anything. This is completely free to join. It used to be a Discord server. We moved it to Circle just because it's a lot safer. It's a lot easier for us to keep an eye on scammers, impersonators, and fraud accounts and spam and all that nonsense. But completely free to join. And any questions at all, this is the place. Trust Issues is today at 3 p.m. Eastern. That is in 5.5 hours. All right. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I will see you guys in a few hours for Trust Issues. If I don't see you there, I hope to see you in the free community.rumshq.com. Appreciate you guys again for hanging out and bearing with the chaos. But otherwise, I'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning for the final show of the week. We'll be joined by Rudo from Polygon, who's going to go over, like I said, some pretty titanic announcements in the last couple days. Really sets the stage for, honestly, what could be a pretty big year for Polygon. Not necessarily talking about the price of the token. I'm talking about like adoption of the chain and all that good stuff. So, you know, always buy with care. But it's crazy that all of this stuff is happening to a thing who's currently 90% down from all-time high. That's kind of bonkers. So looking forward to that. And then otherwise, see you guys soon. Take care.